Should genetically modified foods be sold in supermarkets? What is a GMO? Genetically modified foods are also known as genetically engineered foods or bioengineered foods. These are all foods produced from organisms that have been had changes introduced into their DNA using methods of genetic engineering. I am here today to talk about how I think GMO food should not be sold in our supermarkets, and here's why. There are a few to no studies on how GMOs will affect humans. From the website nongmoproject.org, it says GMO foods have been on the market only since 1994, and research on their long-term effects on humans is scarce. To date, most of the studies have been done on animals. Wrongly, though, some of those studies link GMO foods to altered metabolisms, inflammation, kidney and liver malfunction, and reduced fertility. In one of the experiments, multiple generations of hamsters were fed a diet of GMO soy. By the third generation, they were losing their ability to produce offspring, producing about half as many pups as the non-GMO soy group. So this kind of shows us that studies really haven't been done, but the studies that have been done on animals and just other studies, these studies show that GMO is not good for humans. Why, if it's not good for an animal and it causes all of these issues, inflammation, fertility problems, why should we be eating it? The USA does not require labels to say what foods is GMO and what is not. 46 countries around the world, including Australia, Japan, and all countries in the European Union, require genetically modified foods to be labeled. Certain countries, like Canada, does not. GMOs are currently not labeled in the United States. However, the National Bioengineering Foods Disclosure Standard was published in the Federal Registration on December 21st, 2018. This law says, which you may have heard of, it's called the DARK Act, is the start of mandatory GMO labeling in the United States. So this means that some, but not all, products containing GMOs will have to be labeled by this year, 2022. In its current form, categorical exemptions prevent this law from developing the meaningful protections Americans deserve. So just, if some countries require full labeling of every single food that is GMO, no matter what, but then other countries don't, to me that just means that if it's scary enough to other countries to label it for their citizens, why isn't my country? And so I think it's super important that we should label it here so that people are given a choice and an opportunity to decide whether they want to be intaking all GMO foods or what foods they want to be intaking. And that's up to the person and not the government. So how does GMOs affect the environment? More than 80% of all genetically modified crops grown worldwide have been engineered for pesticides tolerance. As a result, the use of toxic pesticides such as Roundup has been increased 15-fold since GMOs were first introduced. In March 2015, the World Health Organization determined that the pesticide glyphosate, the key ingredient in Roundup, is probably a carcinogen to humans, so cancerous. Genetically modified crops also are responsible for the emergence of superweeds and superbugs, which can only be killed with ever more toxic poisons called 2,4-D, and that's a major ingredient in Agent Orange. And then the last fact about this, most GMOs are a direct extension of a chemical agriculture and are developed and sold by the world's largest chemical companies. The long-term impact of these GMOs are unknown. Once released into the environment, these novel organisms no longer can be recalled. So we have all of these different facts going on here. Um, Lots of these chemicals that we are putting on these GMOs to make them produce, well, they're super toxic, right? And then they're also creating super bugs and super weeds that now farmers need to kill, but they can't with regular pesticides. So they have to introduce another pesticide, which is even more toxic and cancer causing to humans. And lots of these things, now that we've put them in our environment and in our farming soil, we can't take it back, but we still have to produce food for the world. And so we're just in this constant struggle. And I just see GMOs as being a negative to the environment in general. Overall, GMOs are affecting our health in many ways we will not know until it's too late to fix. GMOs are not labeled in our country and a lot of countries around the world. We deserve to know what we're eating. And GMOs are affecting our environment in a negative way. I'm worried that if we do not start making changes soon, the next generation will start to pay for our laziness. I want to leave you with a challenge. I understand that it's hard to make dietary changes quickly. We need to ease into it. And I want you to do exactly that. Every day, just think about what the food you're cooking with came from. Or the next time you're at a store, maybe take the time to look at the different labels and choose the tomato that's not genetically modified. I challenge you to learn about where your food is coming from and what is going in your body. But slowly, by learning about GMOs, we can change our diet and create a safer, healthier life for ourselves and our families in the future. Thank you.